Do you see Dublin emerging as the central financial services hub in the EU post-Brexit?
I think Dublin has certainly the right to lay a claim to get its slice of whatever activity might arise if financial activities, by one reason or another, are forced to leave the UK to access EU. We have more than €3 trillion under management in Dublin. We have all of the expertise, particularly in the leasing sector and aviation. We have a growing fintech capacity and interest. We have a growing interest in green bonds and the sustainability area in financing. And all of that is a plus for Dublin. We're not starting at zero. But the question is partly push and pull. How much push will there be for firms already in London because new access to market changes the conditions necessary? And then what are the pull factors between Dublin and other centres?
And Michael, what do you think, following on from that analysis, what are the biggest impacts for the Irish financial services industry now post-Brexit and into the future?
I think Ireland obviously has a very established reputation as a cross-border jurisdiction for financial services within the EU. I think that's down largely to availability of skills, prudent regulation and other factors. But for me, the key factor traditionally has been our access to the European market and the ability of financial services companies to passport their services throughout the EU. That financial passport, which is derived from EU legislation, becomes much more critical now in the new world. I think a lot of British-based institutions will be considering how best to access that passport post-Brexit, and I think Ireland offers a very viable alternative for them to support their business because of our shared language, our shared legal system and our shared approach to regulation. In the other direction and on the other side of that coin, there are many companies which are currently operating in Britain who will want to retain their access to the British market. And again, they will have to look at what the options are for them into the future. But even if that means splitting their British and their rest of EU business, they will want to operate those on a common platform using common procedures and policies. And again, I think the similarities between our system and the British system make Ireland a very good choice for operating the master business.
And in view of that then, and with that being the case, what should Ireland or the Irish government do for companies to relocate here post-Brexit?
Well, for the vast majority of financial services companies, I think the key issues tend to be certainty of regulation and regulatory approach and timeliness of regulatory response. And that's reflected in all of the conversations we have been having with our financial services clients since the Brexit referendum. I think it's really important that Ireland recognises that the vast majority of institutions that will want to move pieces of their business to Ireland are already operating those pieces of their business in an EU-regulated jurisdiction under rules and policies and procedures that are derived from EU rules. And so in transitioning that business, if it is transitioned to Dublin, I think it's important that we recognise that and that we streamline our authorisation process to ensure that there's business continuity, that we reduce operational risk, not just to the benefit of the companies who are transitioning, but actually to the benefit of the system as a whole, because I think the more that we can do to ensure that it's a business as usual environment, the better for end investors and the better for the financial system.